I'm going to talk about the third one right now. This cycle is a cycle that is a little mysterious to people because it is the cycle of human conflict. And people say to me, well, what do you mean, a cycle of conflict? Doesn't it just happen whenever it happens? Well, the answer is no. There is a rhythm. There are cycles of conditions that make us more vulnerable and make us more susceptible to conflict.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Celia. I'm a 6-2 projector, an earth angel with the mission of creating heaven on earth. And today I have a really powerful video with a scientific backup this time. Believe it or not, I'm actually quite skeptical, and I do tend to run what I do as much as I can through science. There are of course a lot of things that I simply utilize because they've proven themselves to me in my life, because nowadays also science is not really focusing on studying the things that actually matter so much yet. That will change. Today we're going to talk a little bit about why it's so important for us to connect around the global and universal purpose of creating heaven on earth for us as humans. And that's because we're at a pivotal time where we actually get to co-create with the sun what direction we're taking as humans. And for you to really understand what I'm talking about, I'd like to show you this little clip from Gregg Braden, where he explains the connection between major events on a global scale, whether that be wars or positive inventions that progress society, and solar activity. And this, by the way, is also related to the temperature of the planet and other factors. But for now, we're going to focus on the solar activity and the events because that is the purpose of this video.
I'm going to talk about the third one right now. This cycle is a cycle that is a little mysterious to people because it is the cycle of human conflict. And people say to me, well, what do you mean, a cycle of conflict? Doesn't it just happen whenever it happens? Well, the answer is no. There is a rhythm. There are cycles of conditions that make us more vulnerable and make us more susceptible to conflict.
There's a real problem in this country that we have got to address, and it's not going to change overnight. But we've got to understand that anger.
It doesn't mean that the cycles drive war and conflict. It means that when we find ourselves in those cycles, that we are vulnerable and susceptible, and it's an opportunity for us to walk very softly, to extend that olive branch of peace, or go the extra mile to create an agreement, find cooperation, whether it's with our families, our friends, our communities, or between nations. I recently had the opportunity to speak at the United Nations with a dear friend and colleague of mine, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and we were invited to share with the UN our perspective of cycles of time, what we as a world can expect so that we can prepare, know where to put our resources, know where to put our energy. And I'm sharing with you precisely what I shared with them, the fact that we are living this rare convergence of these cycles. And the economic cycles and the climate cycles, many of those people were not familiar with. So the value of knowing this, that we are in this cycle of human conflict, when it's so easy to be misunderstood and to trigger an incident that can wreak havoc on entire nations. The value of that is it arms us with the wisdom and the knowledge to be very, very conscious about our agreements, about our communications. And you're actually seeing the rhythm of some of these conflict cycles, the beginning and the end of the Korean War, the beginning and the end of World War I, World War II. All of these pegged right at the top and the bottom of those cycles of conflict. Well, what's interesting is, where are we in these cycles right now? In the year 2014, we began an uptick toward greater human conflict, and that uptick peaks in the year 2020. So I would expect between 2014 and 2020, we would see a lot of tension in the world. Doesn't mean we must have war. It means we are vulnerable and susceptible. And it also means there's a greater opportunity for deeper communication to create peace in the time of that vulnerability. That's the good news. So when I talk to people about these conflict cycles, they say, what is it that could possibly be driving these cycles? Well, this is where it goes back to Mother Earth. And I want to share something quickly. I won't dwell on this, but I want you to see, so that you can see how deeply connected we are to our planet. A lot of research has been done now relating human conflict and social change to the sun and solar cycles. As far back as the 1700s, 1750 to the year 1920, scientists had the data where they saw the ebb and the flow of solar cycles for the first time. They could actually plot those out. Some very far-reaching scientists looked at human achievements and human disasters at the same time. They said, what are people doing while these solar cycles are ebbing and while they're flowing? And this isn't all about bad things. It's about innovation and creativity, new inventions, the automobile, and the way that we're using electronics today, and all of these things. The ideas of physics, Einstein, Niels Bohr, Max Planck, all of these ideas, Edison, this is all happening linked to the ebb and flow of these cycles. So what you're seeing on your screen is a very rare image. It is the image showing the solar cycles ebbing and flowing from 1750 to 1920, and the blue line above that is the human activity, all combined. Innovations and war, big stuff happens when the solar cycles increase, and we seem to quiet down when the solar cycles decrease. Well, that leads to the question, this ends in 1920, where are we right now? That's my question as I was seeing this. So I put this together so you can see precisely what it is that's happening. Now, what you see is that solar cycle 22, right in the middle of that cycle, the peak, that was when we had the Iraq-Kuwaiti war, a huge example of conflict. Solar cycle 23 was 9/11, right in the middle. And solar cycle 24, the first week that the sun spots, that the magnetic storms on the sun began to increase, that was when we had what was called the Arab Spring in places like Egypt and Tunisia and Libya. All of these linked to the solar cycles. So once again, scientists are not saying that the sun is causing these effects. What we're seeing is that there are natural conditions that create the environment that we respond to. And that environment, in that environment, we are sometimes more aggressive and sometimes more willing to cooperate. And that's going to be important later in this series. I wanted to see it right now so we can refer back to this. So we are now in the solar cycle 24. What does all this mean to us right now? Well, if we understand how these cycles come together, what we know is that nature uses the extremes that we're seeing as a trigger for new ideas and new solutions. I mentioned that we are living a time of extremes, and I wanted to share with you what it is that's causing extremes, the convergence of these cycles. So I think it's fair to say to you now, the best minds of our time are saying we are in fact living a time of extremes. It doesn't mean bad things are happening or even good things, but big things, big changes in the world. Our world is changing in ways that we simply have not been prepared for. And I think it's fair to say, for most of us, that those changes are happening faster than we have come to expect. And what that means is that we've got to think and live differently, perhaps more so now than we ever have in the past. So I began this episode saying that we're living a time of extremes, and now we've backed up that statement with the specifics. You now understand the extremes, what's causing them, and what they mean in your life.
So as you can see from this video, the human activity is completely correlated to the sun's activity. No wonder the sun is what gives us life. Of course, it's going to determine a lot what happens on this planet. But the interesting point and why I'm making this video is because we can use this power of the sun in two directions. As we can see, we can have major wars, we can have catastrophe happening, or we can make incredible advancements as humans. And what direction we take really depends upon what the majority of the collective is focusing on, because that is where the energy goes. And where the energy goes is what we will create, basically. That's why this is so powerful for us to become aware of, so that we can start to focus our energy on what really matters and start to do the work inside ourselves to liberate ourselves. And that's why my entire mission is to make as many people as possible aware about this and to help as many souls as possible activate their unique life purpose and step into their greatest power so that we naturally choose a collective direction that's beneficial, and that is the heaven on earth energy. And when I talk about heaven on earth, I mean a society where every single being lives in liberty, lives in sovereignty. There's enough abundance for everyone on the planet and more. And by the way, this is totally possible already with what we have at this moment. It's just that the resources are distributed and allocated in ways that are not in harmony or in synergy because of how the collective consciousness is not in harmony and synergy. So everything really starts on this internal level, and the next few years we're going to have a lot of solar activity. It is the moment for us as humans to really choose our direction and to do the best we can to align, with an outcome, with a direction that is positive and beneficial for all living beings on this planet. So I'm not going to say so much more about this because the message kind of explains itself. But if you resonate with this, I have created a free Telegram group for those of you who know you are here to be part of creating heaven on earth too. And in this society, it's so easy to get distracted with everything that happens around us. Sometimes it's really good to have that anchor and that reminder that we can focus, we can choose heaven on earth. And that's why I created this Telegram group. And I intend that we're going to do, several collective meditations. We are going to really create that energy momentum, not only for you individual to create heaven on earth in your own life, but also to create this ripple effect that goes deep into society. So thank you so much for being part of this movement, for watching this video. I can't wait to see you in our community, and let's do this. Let's create heaven on earth.